serious. What are some men's issues that are overlooked? Attention. Serious. Tag notice, jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted in any comment, parent or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. Insecurity in general. You're not supposed to show that you have doubts or worries about your abilities or self-image. A man is supposed to be confident, able and self-assured. It's not okay for men to admit that they lack self-esteem, or that they have genuine problems with their self-image, as they are seen as weaknesses in and of themselves. Other men or women aren't going to bring you up. They won't provide emotional support and tell you it's okay to be unconfident or to feel shame about who you are. They will simply expect that you should take it on the chin. Not everyone can be that guy. But, for a man, what actually makes you feel like a man is being that guy. So you kind of walk around pretending that you're happy, despite the fact that you're not seen as valuable or as desirable as other men, because in doing so, you would be seen as even less valuable or desirable. TL Doctor, if you feel like shit and are insecure, it's bad. But if you display that you feel like shit and are insecure, it's even worse. Fuck. I've never really been able to put that feeling into words before, but that felt insanely good to get off my chest. It's the worst to feel insecure about feeling insecure. My ex-girlfriend had depression and was always super insecure and needy at the beginning of our relationship. I supported her through it, but when I talked about my own self-esteem issues, I could instantly feel that she lost respect for me. Now I was too sensitive and emotional, and I was the girl in the relationship. It's been over for 2 months and I am still really insecure about my issues. I am afraid that if I will show my insecurities to a girl again, I will lose her again. But I also don't want to wear this mask of the secure, stoic man all the time. I just hope there are women out there who really allow their partner to feel insecure from time to time and don't lose respect for them when they do so. Isolation. I've felt this myself, and I've done some reading about it. Men tend to become more isolated and lonely as they get older. After a certain point they don't make an effort to gain friendships and tend to shy away from any type of social engagement. I feel this way, because as of right now, I don't have a close male friend, at least not someone I can talk to about things going on with me personally. I know a lot of people, but I'm less and less engaged with them as each year passes. It concerns me as of late, because I don't want to end up a hermit, but without a solid relationship, I could see myself headed this direction in my older years. Hello from the other side. I'm 57. When I was younger I told myself that I didn't need other people, and that's still largely true. Today I don't have any close friends. The odd thing is, people like me. They tell me that they think of me as a friend, but not one of them would consider me their best friend. If anyone were to ask me to do something with them or for them, I would. I have. However, I rarely ask myself. When I do, the results are hit and miss. I know that everyone's priorities are different. Everyone's work and life balance isn't the same. Jobs and kids get in the way, and friendships are sometimes a lower priority. But when you're my age, many of those issues are already resolved. In all likelihood, your kids are grown and you've probably reached as high a level as you're going to in your career. Yeah, there are always exceptions. By my age you're probably established enough and comfortable enough to do pretty much whatever you want. Yet here I am, not exactly lonely, but alone. I wonder if things might have been different if I'd had a different attitude towards my solitude when I was younger. Reading the stories from others here, I'm starting to believe that things wouldn't have been, which makes me wonder if it's the culture that's at fault. Hopefully we'll get more responses from outside the US or UK. I'm retired now. Time to start a new life on a beach somewhere. I might still be alone, but at least the scenery will be great. Pushed all the people I knew away in high school because of depression, being physically alone for 10 years other than my family. Now that I finally feel like being sociable again, I have no clue how I'm supposed to make friends because I have a lifetime of stress and depression built up to where I'm afraid I'll crack and fall apart the first time something happens where I feel happy or relaxed. It's like you don't really feel lonely until you do, and then it hits you all at once, at least for me. This hit close to home. About a week ago I got an invite to a friend of 30 years' 40th birthday party. I instantly clicked going and started making plans. My wife was going to shift her schedule so she could stay home with kiddo, and if she couldn't, her mother would watch my son so I could head out the morning of the party. I was ready to book the hotel today when I realized something. I've known the guy and the circle of friends we have for 30 years. In the entirety of that time, I could count on one hand how many times these friends came to visit me, make plans with me, or just come by and hang out. It was always me either riding my bike to their house, driving my car, or taking time and money to come visit. 11 years ago I moved to a different state, got married and had a kid. In those 11 years not one of them came to my wedding, met my kid, or even just came to visit. In fact, the one time a friend from that circle came to visit was because they were already in the state for a job interview. They stayed for a few hours and that was it. Before COVID, I visited home 3-4 times a year, making plans and shifting things around to hang out with these people. Not a single one could be bothered to drive the horrid 3 hours just to hang out, so I cancelled my invite. I really don't have any friends. I can only talk about some things with my wife, and my kid just wants to blast Blippi all day. I try keeping a tough exterior about this, put on a show that this shit doesn't bother me, but it really does. I was ready to drive 3 hours, spend money on a hotel, hang out with this circle of friends who really just do not give two shits about me. It's humbling. Thank you for saying this. I was forced into sex with a girl for nearly 2 years. She either cut herself until I did it, or put the knife to me and forced me inside. The emotional toll this woman has taken on me is immeasurable, and no one cares or thinks it's a big deal. No one. Not my family, not my coworkers, not my community, etc. All of them say, women can't sexually assault or rape you. This is very true. I dealt with the abuse for years, finally tried to escape it with my daughter, fearing it would be normalized to her. Magistrate refused to issue a DV order, saved money to get a place only for her mom to make up some BS, and got one issued in no time flat against me. All my apartment money became lawyer money. Thankfully I had a staggering amount of evidence, but that only helped the DV order. Hopefully it's as helpful when I get to court for custody. I don't know the accuracy of the statement, but I read that majority of men between ages 14-35 are lonely. I can speak for myself, and that's true. It had been more than a year one had any human interaction outside my family. Even though your family has your back, but you don't tell them all the things you are going through just because you don't want to bother them with your problems, because you feel your problems don't matter and you should be able to face it on your own. Emotional abuse of men. My BF suffered that in both his marriages, and I am so careful to not say or do anything that could make him feel the way they made him feel. I try very hard to be sure he knows I value him for who he is, just the way he is, every single day. Even he doesn't know how much damage they caused him. I will never get over this 1950s assumption that women can't abuse men. Women abuse men way more often than anyone realizes, and the system is stacked against men in so many different ways. Edit: I've only been on Reddit for 2 days, so I don't understand the reward system, but thank you. Edit number 2, I woke up to a ton of responses, and I've got to clean my house today, so I probably won't respond to many more of them, but I clearly hit a nerve with this comment. To the men who have been emotionally abused, I am so sorry, and I would encourage all of you to seek therapy. It really does help. To the women who love them, don't stop loving them. Mental health. And this is coming from someone who has lived on the ideas of irrigate. Get over yourself. It was taught to me, I didn't think much of it, and now that I'm about to hit 20, I can feel the effects like a ripple. It's actually hard for me to open up to people, and when I do I feel like I'm wasting everyone's time. Edit. I appreciate all of the upvotes. As time goes on and if more people see this, I'll read everything you all have replied with. I one day hope to have the courage to seek help for myself. Until then though, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and seek to make tomorrow a better day than today. I run recreational kids programs at a community center. There have been several times women refuse to drop their kids off when myself and another male are working the program. Doesn't matter if other moms dropping their kids off tell them we're fine and they've known us for years. Then they go to the front desk to complain and get told the same thing, and they act like they simply can't understand how two adult males could possibly care for a group of 3-5-year-olds. There are often implications they dance around as to why I must be working there. And I get you should be comfortable with the people you're dropping your kids off with, but what kind of message are you sending to your own kids when you pitch a fit about how men simply can't be trusted? What message do you send to your own son? I love my job and it hurts to be viewed as untrustworthy or even a predator simply because I'm a guy. So this one might not be as serious as the others. It actually is as serious because it has wider social consequences. Want to work in childcare or be a primary school teacher? That's cute and a great career choice. If you are a woman. If you're a man, WTF would you want to be around young children, you creep? I wish I was being sarcastic, but unfortunately that is a prevalent attitude that turns men off from entering these careers. Even if they would love to. It's misogynistic to think that women should be the caregivers for children, but it's also misandristic to think that only creepy men want to care for children. How do we change that attitude? Just throwing this out there, but how many parents would be comfortable with men working in a daycare or primary school? Would you hire a male babysitter? If not, why? Male sexual assault and rape in the military is a huge issue that is ignored. We are barely scratching the surface on female rape in the military. Imagine being a male victim of rape or sexual assault, especially by a male perpetrator. I can't imagine how hard it is to endure that and then receive no sympathy or support because of our weird hang-ups about men being able to defend themselves. It's criminal what we do to victims of those horrible crimes. The criminality is magnified x 100 if it's a member of the military. Just last week I was at the park with my 2-year-old daughter and a bunch of mums were sitting at a bench chatting about 30 feet away. This girl, about 2 is playing with my daughter, climbing all over the stuff, and doing pretty good for young kids, and gets sort of stuck on a ladder and asks me for help down. So I grab her and set her down. She says Tankoa and then runs over to the car thing my daughter is climbing up. So I follow them, like I have been doing for the last hour. During this hour no other parent, guardian has moved from the benches. Then one comes over to me and says, sorry, but could you not stay so close to my daughter, and don't touch her again? I'm not following your kid around, I'm following mine. Your kid was stuck on a ladder. Should I just let her fall next time? Well, no. But, well, then you have to be there if she falls. That's probably the 3rd time that's happened to me in the last few months. I get it, and I appreciate the concern, but it's pretty annoying. I have taken my 4 kids to the park when they were younger. I use a cane due to physical disability, so I am sitting on the bench watching my kids play, and a bunch mums are at the splash pads a few meters away. 5 minutes later I have a cop asking me questions about why I am at the park, if I know any of the children, etc. Apparently the moms decided that a male at a park was enough to warrant a call to the cops. Edit. I never expected this to blow up like it did. I will add that while the woman handled it poorly, a polite conversation with a non-threatening stranger, or at least one you can obviously move faster than note by cane, would have resolved the issue without the need for cops or anything else. However, I can appreciate the concern by others over children and support them for looking out as a neighborly thing. It was just handled very poorly by them. Also kudos to the officers that responded. They approached the situation cautiously, but without an outward biased view, and it was resolved without incident in just a few minutes. Single father with full custody since my daughter was 2 weeks old. Once, when she was around 2 years old, we were walking home from a lazy afternoon trip to our neighborhood convenience store when we were approached suddenly and loudly by an aggressive middle-aged woman who wanted no time in hurling accusations that I had kidnapped my child, who looks just like me with her pale skin and red hair, and started trying to lure my child away from me to ask her questions, saying stuff like she shouldn't be out without her mother. She called the police as I scooped my daughter up and walked away. There was a young girl, maybe 3 or 4 years old, wandering in and out of the street in my neighborhood. As a 40-year-old male, I was terrified to go near her for fear of someone assuming something terrible. I ended up standing in the middle of the street so that cars would slow down and notice her while I called the police to have someone come and help. I felt terrible about calling the police as well because I'm sure it caused all kinds of problems for her parents. It turned out her older brother was supposed to be watching her and wasn't doing a very good job. This just reminded me of the time that my wife, I and our newborn went to Disney with a couple and their 3 older children. 5, 8 and 11. I'm like 26-bit look 18. They wanted to go explore, so I volunteered while my wife needed to sit and feed the baby. Their parents stayed with her, so off we go on our adventure. We get stopped by this older lady. Asks the youngest child, who's a girl, if I was her dad. She said no, and next thing I know the other kids said we don't know him. Laughing. They thought it was a joke. I tried to explain, and next thing I know I'm tackled from behind and held until Disney security got there, handcuffed, and pretty much was embarrassed in front of hundreds of people, called a pedophile and other names. At this point the oldest kid says we were kidding, that's our uncle. No one was listening. By the grace of God, the rest of our crew showed up, explained, had to show pictures. They literally said nothing, uncuffed me and disappeared. No apology. Nothing. It's an odd switch from how things used to be. C.S. Lewis wrote about this problem in The Four Loves, how men now tend to have no good, close friends they can really relate to. My dad went to Paraguay, I think, once for a school thing for a few months. And something that surprised him was that the men were very affectionate, not kissing each other or something, but he mentioned how when boys were out in the playground and were tired, they and their friends would lay with their backs against each other so they had something comfortable to lay against, and when siesta came, men would lay in the same beds to take a nap. Oddly enough, even though we now live in a culture where homosexuality is just about normalized, affection and close friendships between men are the most distrusted, and labeled as closeted gay lovers. The meme of women screwing each other being seen as them being just friends and men hugging being gay lovers is for real. I remember an article made fun of on 4chan that some archaeologists had found 2 male skeletons hugging each other in the rubble of Pompeii, and the archaeologists supposed they were gay lovers. Why must a hug be instantly labeled as homosexual in nature, even by people supposedly supportive of LGBT culture and gay marriage and all that? It's far too common for them to see 2 guys who are good friends hug and say, oh wow, they're probably gay. Keep sexuality out of this shit. I have an interesting take on this that is like the same but also opposite. I needed to go to a shelter some years ago, and they vetted me online who was making my home so unsafe that I had to leave. I told them it was a woman and they told me they wouldn't take me immediately because the person causing the domestic violence was a woman. There was even a sound of frustration in the person's voice, like they didn't take it seriously. Verbal eye rolling, if you will, as if women can't be abusers. I was just watching Huge. In France, one of the male characters was having a bad day but his girlfriend wanted to have sex to have a baby. Within 30 seconds they went from fully clothed to having sex while he appeared completely uninterested. I get that it's not pornography, but painting the picture that men are literally always ready to go no matter what is unhealthy. A room likely full of male writers wrote his scene, yet none had the confidence to say this is too unrealistic. No way this would work, because they're afraid to be labeled as impotent. Also reminds me of watching Curb Your Enthusiasm. Magically, a 70-year-old Larry David has the sex drive of a 30-year-old.